You are listening to As a Woman, Episode 1. What is your goal? Today we will discuss the vision of the As a Woman podcast and the question that inspired me on this journey to educate and empower women by fostering community over competition. Listen to my goals with this space and be challenged by the two things I'm asking of you this week.
Welcome to As a Woman, the podcast hosted by fertility physician Dr. Natalie Crawford to educate and empower women. Each week, learn about your health, your fertility, and how they relate to your true self. Become a part of the community fostering collaboration over competition while learning how to authentically find your voice and amplify others as a woman.
Hi, friends. I am so excited to welcome you to the very first episode of As a Woman, the podcast. This project is so very dear to my heart. I am so honored that you are listening to this, that you are tuned in, subscribing, downloading shows, sharing it with your friends. You don't know how much that means to me. I am Dr. Natalie Crawford, and I'm just going to start out this show by telling you a little bit more about me and where this all started. I'm a reproductive endocrinology and infertility physician. I practice in Austin, Texas, and I've been married to my husband, Jason, for about 12 years. We've got 2 little kids, age 3 and 4. And if you want to learn more about me, you can go to the blog, which is finally live after quite a long process. But you can check out kind of the About Me page and learn a little bit more. But my pathway to where I am now, to practicing medicine, it included 4 years of medical school, an intern year in emergency medicine, then I switched, and 4 whole years of OBGYN residency, and 3 years of REI fellowship. Being a fertility physician is an amazing job. It has all the highs and lows, but one question that I ask all of my patients each time I meet them is, what is your goal? And this one question has completely shaped how I view reproduction, family building, and education that women get about our bodies and our own personal and professional goals. So this entire community, the As a Woman Project, as we now call it in my house, which included that hashtag campaign, which was really amazing, this podcast, a blog, and there's more to come. It all started out with this one simple question: what is your goal? And I wanted to understand women. I wanted to understand where in our heart do we learn to make decisions. I wanted to learn when and why we are sometimes driven by fear. And I learned that although my job is simply amazing, I often sit across my desk and I see patients too late in their journey. Every time I heard a patient's story and I asked, well, what is your goal? I had the same thought. I thought that I could make a bigger difference earlier. Why did women allow fertility to be a passive thing? I saw women sitting across from me so much later in their reproductive journey, and the difference could have really been profound earlier. And so why do we do this as highly educated women? We ignore our fertility until it's a problem. Are we as women so accustomed to society dictating what's normal or what's right or what's stigmatized or what we should talk about that we are sacrificing our own true goals in the process? And are we feeling so much pressure from the outside world around us, and specifically other women in the space, that it holds us back from achieving our own authenticity? And this thought, once it hit me, I just couldn't escape it. It stuck with me, it grew, and it inspired me. And so I decided to do something. It all started really small. So a personal, professional Instagram account run totally by me with the simple goal of educating and empowering women. And it really wasn't even my idea. I can't even take full credit from it. My youngest sister is Megan. Hi, Megs. And she is big in the tech space. And in a conversation about my life and my career and what I do, she said once, "Hey, Nat, I'm your target demographic, and I want to have kids. And I think you probably have a really cool job as a fertility doctor, but I don't know what you do. And I don't understand my own fertility. I don't know how to go about trying to have kids when I'm ready. And so maybe you should put that information out there so people like me could understand it better. And that was a game changer for me. Here's my own sister, the sister of a fertility doctor, who is a consumer who wants this information and it's just not out there. And so I started putting it out there. I learned that if understanding your body, your periods, your fertility, and your health is not supported, then how can you really get in tune with your true self? Because those are real life things that happen to us. We have periods. They may or may not be painful. We have a fertility time span that will end for all of us, and we may or may not want children. So these things should become more common. And I just think that reproduction and biology are part of a life as a woman. So why do we act like this information is not worthy of discussion? Why do we act like the challenges and struggles that exist in this space don't exist? And so I started sharing. My Instagram, when it just started, I knew nothing about it. I just started sharing about my life as a woman in medicine, my life as a fertility doctor, and I just started talking really open about hard issues and believing that acknowledgement is the very first step towards empowerment and change. And so you guys listening right here, I know some of you were my very first followers on Instagram, and I love you, but you've been with me on this journey. You've probably even noticed that I've evolved as the years have passed, because I have. And that's what we do. We evolve and we change. And what we really need is more support from each other. And so this podcast, it just started as the natural evolution from the space that grew from Instagram. I started to feel the need to get my voice out on a larger scale, to use a medium that you have more control over consuming and become a sounding board for sharing things that I feel really passionately about. And perhaps this makes you wonder, okay, well, Nat, what is your goal? What are you really trying to accomplish with this podcast? And here it is. I believe that knowledge is power. I truly do, and I'm going to say it again. Knowledge is power. I believe that this includes understanding your fertility, your body, and your health. But I also believe that this means learning to be true to you in a world of expectations, especially as a woman. We should learn from what the women who have gone before us have already learned. For too long, I believe that women felt that that power to be included just included this period of suffering that you had to put in, that there was a battle you had to fight and a club you had to fit into, and that was the price you pay for admission. And if you want to be taken seriously, you don't complain about these things. You be quiet, you adjust, you adapt, and you survive despite it all. You tolerate the BS and you don't cause any drama. Rock the boat, but don't tip it over. Be sweet, but not soft. Smart, but not bossy. Confident, but not a bitch. But friends, I am done with it. And so why isn't that enough? I think the reality is that when bias is ingrained in us from such a young age, our perceptions sometimes are subconscious. And when the world around us tells us certain things, such as who we should be, what we should want, what we should do, we just accept it. We passively accept stigma and bias without stopping to think. And we often pass our own views on to others as a form of judgment, instead of passing them out of a curiosity or a desire for understanding. And so we need to start at the very beginning today. And I have a couple things to ask from you. The first is, hey friends, what is your goal? You there listening, what is your goal? Not like what you tell people, or maybe not even what you're working toward right now, but I want you to stop and think this over this next week. What is your goal? What is worth working hard for? What do you want to define you? I want you to take out fear, take out expectation, take out how you may feel if you can or cannot accomplish this. And you can have lots of goals. I totally understand that. And we have to figure out how to put the pieces together. Because if you dream them all, if there's a desire to accomplish them all, they must make sense together because they make sense for you. We just have to figure out how to put them together. And so I want you to think about this because I truly believe one of the top questions I get asked is, how do you balance? How do you do this? I'm afraid to pick this job because the work is so hard. And I'm a big believer that the work is hard no matter what you pick. But if you love what you do, it makes it worthwhile. If you leave your little baby at home to go do a job you don't love, it'll never be worth it. It doesn't matter if the training was shorter or longer, the pathway was smoother or not. It's not going to be worth it in the end unless it's true to yourself and unless you really love it. So we need to figure that out. So I want you to find something, write it down, start thinking about your goals. I have a little pink moleskin notebook that I write things down in, and my kind of goal statements on the first page. It's also on a Word document that I kind of constantly add to. It's titled Life Planning. That's not a joke, it's the real title. And it's more like my online diary, and it's probably like 54 pages in length right now. So, Jason, don't come try to find it. There's all kinds of things in there. But I'm just challenging you here to think about yourself. But I challenged me too, so I might as well share it with you. So what is my goal? My real goal. Okay, it's one sentence and it's kind of long, so get ready. My goal is to educate women about their health and their bodies, to understand their fertility, to empower them to make choices that align with their goals, their true self, and not what society dictates for them, while being an example that a successful career can coexist with being a great mother. So there's a ton in there, you guys. It's a really long sentence, but I stand behind it. That's why I put time into the things I do. And that's what I want. And isn't that a powerful statement for us? That is what I want. Because if you can identify what you want, you have a lot of power when it comes to making choices. And I just want to point something else out. There's not one stinking word in that sentence about being a doctor, which is crazy because all my goal ever was for years and years and years and years and years was to be a doctor. And my sentence at age 18 probably would have said, my goal is to be a great doctor. It might not have even included motherhood because being a doctor was my dream. And I worked hard for that dream, you guys. It was the thing driving me for so many years. The hours and the personal life that I have sacrificed at its behest, I cannot even begin to count. And I'm there. I achieved it and I love it. But when I take out all the fear, the expectations, the hard work, what I'm left with is what I said above, that I want to educate and empower women. I can do that in the clinic, seeing patients as a doctor, but I believe I can do it on a bigger platform with more people standing next to me. And so I want you to think honestly. If I told people, and when I told people years ago, I'm going to go on Instagram, they laughed at me. They thought it was so silly. Some people told me it was a waste of my time, that physicians shouldn't be putting that type of stuff out there on social media. And I just felt driven that it was being true to myself to do it. And so I did, and it has changed my life. So search yourself for meaning. And it doesn't really matter how big or small you view these goals. If they are yours, if they exist in your heart, then that is what matters. So I want you to get to thinking about them. But secondly, I want to challenge you to share. So pick somebody, pick one person. I don't really care. It can be me, your mom, your sister, your friend, your mentor, your partner, your therapist, anybody. And just tell them, hey, can I share something with you? Or leave it on my Instagram page as, hey, this is a goal I have, or this is what I'm working towards. Because putting it out there, writing it down and sharing it, it makes it mean more. But there you have it. That's the question that started it all for me. What is your goal? And you know what my goal is. And that's where this whole podcast comes from. So we are going to include all the things that I feel are important to me as a woman. We will talk about discrimination, career, medicine, fertility, diet, health, motherhood, more. We will talk to other women who inspire me in this space to push my boundaries. I can't thank you enough for listening in today, and I can't wait to continue to grow this community with you. Please feel free to follow along on my Instagram, which most of you probably know. It's at nataliecrawfordmd. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like to talk about, feel free to shoot me an email through that account also. And join us next week as we really get started and talk about being a mean girl in recovery. Thanks for listening to As a Woman, the podcast.